Theatre Centre. I'm Daniel Gerald, the Executive Director. We're very pleased to present this evening as part of our ongoing series of international and world theatre, The Lost Apple Play, performances from Operation Pedro Pan, curated by the Dos Alas Theatre with the Martin E. Segal Theatre Center. The co-artistic founders of Dos Alas are Kimberly Del Busto and Jason Ramirez, who are PhD candidates in our PhD program in theater. We're very proud and happy to have them here this evening presenting the Lost Apple plays. Now I'm going to turn the proceedings over to Dr. Frank Hemsker, our Director of Programs, who will say a little more about the events of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Martin Segal Theatre Center here at the Graduate Center CUNY. The Segal Center bridges academia and professional theatre, international and American theatre, and of course this is a true example of the work we are trying to do as close to our mission as it can be. And on top of it, as David mentioned, Kimberly and Jason are very close to us. They have the right PhD program in theatre. And normally, typically, we don't do student projects, but this is such a high, that's a high profile, such an important project, and it's so incredibly well executed. So, thanks to both of them right away. If you have a cell phone, just take it out and take 1 second and see if it's on vibrate. I'll do the same. And the evening should last about 90 minutes. There will be a reception in this room after the presentation with the discussions, and I hope you will be able to join us and maybe have additional questions you want to get to ask. And again, the Segal Center is trying to promote and to help and foster dialogue between academia and the artists involved. So this is a truly fantastic event. And I would like to welcome now Carmen Hilas, who's going to give us a special introduction from Drum and Co. from the play. And thank you.
My grandmother had ever told me about Cuba is that if I'd been raised in Havana, I'd speak French. Can somebody please tell me what that means? Because I have no idea. But I know there has to be more. It's the look on her face when she refuses to elaborate. It's the only time she looks away from me. I have no idea how I'm going to tell my grandmother that I'm about to jump into the black hole that's her life before 1964. But I know I want witnesses. Oh, Camila, mi vida. So nice of you to finally show up. Hey, that's Jorge Martinez. Jorge, they interview me. I haven't seen him since he left Univision. What do you mean, who am I? I just finished my hunger strike shift, and I'm starting on my prayer shift right now. What do you mean you don't do hunger strikes and shifts? Oye, we are here to protest the starvation of the Cuban people, not show them how it's done, sir. There's 11 million people starving in Cuba because of that demon, and you expect us to starve ourselves voluntarily. Comunista. Así mismo se lo digo. No, you can go and interview your grandmother. Camila, ven. I take your seat. No, ven. Gorda. Do you expect me to believe that you missed the hunger strike shift by mistake? Please. Oh, come on, when have you ever missed a meal? Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Okay, where's Juana? Oh, she's for I'm missing my soap opera because of that thing. No, I don't want to talk about it. No, talking about it doesn't help me feel better. I'm not that modern. Ramón, ya para de comer mierda, chico. Coño, your grandfather gets so excited when he sees your cousin. Put him down. Te va a dar un patatús. Nikki, baby, come here. You left your Barbie doll at the house. Look at this. That's not a children's doll. It's a prostitute. Sorry, Nikki, ballerina Barbie. Okay. Sometimes I wonder what the people that got our house after we left did with everything. Now, with the kids' toys, our pictures, the clothes, what could those things have meant to anybody? Elenita, since when are you using a walker? No, it's the climate. I don't care for only 90 miles away from Cuba. The climate here kills you. Caballero, in Cuba, it only rained when we wanted it to occur. Oh, you and me both. I'm like the Queen of England, destroyed and just for show. I have to yell. She can't hear anymore. She probably doesn't want to. Her son, gay. Elenita, how's Tony? No, such a good boy. No, niña, don't worry about it. He'll get married soon. To Jonathan. Sit down, pray with us. No, Gorda, that's not funny. Don't joke around like that. Can you please explain to me what business you think you have going to Cuba? To find beauty, mi vida, please. No. Because it's dangerous, Gorda. How it can even come into your mind is beyond me. Now, you know why we left. Camila, don't be cute. Not about this. You know why we left. No, because they tried to take away your father. Oh, see. But I recognized the miliciano that came to get him. I was his second grade teacher. I jumped in front of your father and I said, you're not taking my son anywhere, descarado. I taught you how to read. Get out of my house. Within hours, your grandfather had your father and the other 4 kids on a plane to New Orleans. I was sure they were going to come back and arrest me. Everybody was scared. Every minute was like you were waiting for an attack. We never knew where it was going to come from. The random assassinations, the ridiculous, violent arrests. We have built a life together. And just when we're living what we earn, Castro comes along and says that we're the enemy, that we deserve to lose it all, and if you don't like it, you take the next flight out with the clothes on your back and another Cuban passport in your hand and be thankful to be able to leave. Cuba was beautiful. It's not that it was perfect. No, caballero, it wasn't perfect. Every country has its problems, and we had ours and big. But it was our home. We spoke our language, and from one day to the next, everything changed. Half of everybody we knew had left. You couldn't talk to your friends anymore because you didn't know who was on whose side. Your grandfather and I were afraid to talk to each other. La Habana got so cold. In my backyard, I used to have 5 trees. 1 for each child. When they bloomed, you would swear that the sun was sitting on top of our house. I would spend hours looking at those trees, wondering what was happening to my children, mis hijos. I would think about my brothers and sisters, and I wondered if they had places to live yet. They had food to eat. I'll tell you this. I never knew how beautiful those trees were until Castro took over. Anda. Castro, traidor, asesino y dictador. Castro. Wait a minute, in English, coño, so that they understand us. No wonder they think we're crazy. Oh, no, they think we're crazy. The other day I got into a fight with a Canadian. He said he didn't know why we were all still complaining. That he had been to Cuba many times and that it was fun, that we were a bunch of nostalgic aristocrats, the Jews of the Caribbean. So I said to him, Jews of the Caribbean. That's right. That's right, we are the Jews of the Caribbean, and you let my people go, you animal. Don't you realize you can go in and out of my country all the time that you want and do God knows what? But I will never set foot on my Cuba again. No, Camila, I can't go with you. I did not ask for permission to leave my country, and I will not ask for permission to go back to my Cuba. I am a political exile. Let me pray. No, let me pray, because now I'm mad. Me chiflaste. God, I wish I had a cigarette. See, Elenita, see, I quit smoking a year ago. You were there. We were on the cruise ship, and Ramon got sick. We had to take the little dinky boat to shore. And I promised God that if he cured him, I would quit smoking. The second that we got to the emergency room, he was fine. He had gas. Where is he? Every time I want a cigarette now, I want to kill him. Nostalgic aristocrat. I'm nostalgic because I need to be. When your grandfather retired, he insisted on planting the same garden that we had in Cuba. Oh! We had such a fight over it. Chico, no comas mierda. You don't know what you're doing, and you're going to have a heat stroke. Coño, Alicia, I think I can plant a simple garden. Déjame ya. Oh! Allá tú. I'm not saying another word. I don't want it. And God save me if anything happens to me, vida, because I've already quit smoking. But he started with the plants. Nya. They look beautiful. Then the flower beds. They looked beautiful. Then the 5 trees, one for each child. I was so excited. I don't think I had ever let myself look forward to anything as much as I did those trees. But they wouldn't take root. Camila, mi vida, no matter where you are or how good you're doing, you're not free because you're Cuban and you're not home. And the only home you should have ever known doesn't exist anymore. Now you're going to come here today to tell me that you want to go to Cuba to find beauty. I hope you do. It's over. Nikki, go get your hour. No, déjame ya. Ramón, ya suéltame el mojonete, chico. Michael, come here. Give your a kiss. I love you too.
show at the Abington Theatre, Rum and Coke. Carmen and I have something in common. We are both the daughters of Pedro Pan exiles. Her mother, Alicia Pelaez, and my mother, Marta del Busto, are two of the 14,048 children who emigrated on those flights from 1960 to 1962. Others include two of the playwrights whose work we're featuring tonight, Eduardo Machado and Marioneta Sanchez. Lilo Cruz and Melinda Lopez, who join us tonight, both have cousins who immigrated on those flights. Other Pedro Pan exiles you may recognize include Willie Chirino and Lisette, whose music was part of our pre-show lineup, the U.S. Ambassador to Spain and Andorra, Eduardo Aguirre, visual artist Ana Mindieta, Maria Brizo, and the late Elie Chauvel, who was the president of Operation Pedro Pan Incorporated, now a national charitable organization. From 1960 to 1962, more than 14,000 unaccompanied minors took flight from Cuba to the United States, establishing the largest recorded exodus in the Western Hemisphere. The underground operation designed a desperate alternative to the isolation, indoctrination, and labor assignments that faced the post-revolutionary nation's youth. Conceived by a young Irish priest, Father Brian Walsh, Operation Pedro Pan ensured prompt and safe migration, guaranteed lodging conditions for an urgent child exodus that had already begun. After assisting one desperate child named Pedro, who had arrived alone from Cuba to search for relatives in the U.S., Father Walsh, director of the Catholic Welfare Bureau of Miami, created the proto-response from President Eisenhower, the Department of State waiving visa requirements for all Cuban children. The young diaspora of Operation Pedro Pan turned simultaneously from their mother and their motherland to occupy places in camps and foster homes in various parts of the U.S. Many located relatives or reunited with parents, though sometimes not for months or years. But nearly all of those children believed that their displacement was temporary, like a trip to Never Never Land. They would return to Cuba. Separated from their country in a boundless wait for return, the displaced children's feelings were encapsulated by a popular Latin American nursery rhyme, La Manzana Perdida, the lost apple. Señora Santana, ¿por qué llora el niño? Señora Santana, why is this boy crying? Because he's lost his apple. I will give him one, I will give him two. One for him and one for you. Yo no quiero uno, yo no quiero dos. I don't want one, I don't want two. I want mine, yo quiero la mía, the one that I lost. Right. This visit of a lost, irrecoverable possession stalls both the child and the narrative's progression as they resist resolution. The quality becomes a trend that persists 45 years later, characterizing the operation through a body of performance work and dramatic literature about a nation's exiled children. E-Resolution marks characters, dramatic structures, concerts, sculptural installations, and performance art. But this evening examines the dramatic work created by playwrights about those flights, revealing performance as a primary ongoing mode in attempting to resolve the displaced child's self. We'll expose a variety of dramatic interpretations in response to this common migration, disunifying the group and the vast groups of Cuban exiles separated by years, class, motivation, and circumstances, who are often lumped together and flattened by stereotypes. Along these lines, Marioneta Sanchez sends a particular message to this audience this evening. Marioneta Sanchez regrets he's in Costa Rica at the Festival de las Artes for these exact days, 11 to 15. He asks us to remember that the title of his play is Matecumbe, the flight of a Pedro Pan, el vuelo de un Pedro Pan. He says, and I quote him, I have underlined the A and the U because it's very important for audiences to know my play is solely based on my experiences and no one else's. Not everyone felt the same way. This is a revision Marioneta has done because it used to be called Vuelo de Pedro Pan. Making it more universal, but as audiences have responded to it, he is punctuating it as his own biographical interpretation. He was born in San Antonio de Las Vegas and immigrated to the U.S. in 1961 on Pedro Pan. Of Camp Matecumbe, he says, we were young boys, unaware of magnitude of the crisis going on around us, afraid of being alone, but trying our best to turn our fate into an adventure never to be forgotten. This is Teatro Avante's 1994 production of Matecumbe, which is the name of the camp that most of the Operation Pedro Pan boys were sent to. So here we're going to see a dramatization of him leaving his mother in the airport when he was a boy. And one very prominent feature of Jose Marti Airport, the international airport in Havana, was that it had this area that had a glass partition on which the parents were segregated on one side, saying goodbye, heart-wrenching goodbyes to their youth that they might never see again. So this was called the pecera, the fishbowl. So here he tries to dramatize that through a silent scene and through lights at the end. We'll see the pecera come to life on this page. Matecumbe ends with a poetic reversal of the opening scene in which the boy and his mother are happily reunited when she arrives to rescue him from Camp Matecumbe, entering his temporary but protracted orphanhood. Unlike the boy in Matecumbe, the character of Sonia in Sonia Blue never reunites with her parents. Melinda Lopez dramatizes in what psychology is called delayed grief syndrome, as Sonia is forced to recollect a past she has suppressed. She never forgave her parents for sending her away, and it is not until she has children of her own, when her son Zach enlists in the Marines and goes to war, that she revisits the horrible memory of being sent away from her family forever on Operation Pedro Pan. The action proceeds achronologically. The first act is set in Minneapolis, December 2001. The second in Havana, April 1961. At two different points in the play, mother and son deliver almost identical monologues about how they were read the story of Peter Pan during their childhood. Jason Ramirez performs Zach's monologue from Act 1.
My mother used to read me Peter Pan, the boy who could fly. He never lived in Neverland with all the lost children. And one day, Peter got sad, and he missed home so much that he flew back there, across the ocean. He flew to the window of his bedroom, but his mother had locked it, and he couldn't get back in. I always used to wonder, what kind of a terrible mother would do that? Even after years and years, wouldn't she keep the window open? Even through blizzard and rain and heat and locusts, wouldn't you keep the window open? Just in case? In case?
The company will now present a scene from Act 2, Scene 4 of Sonia Blue by Melinda Lopez.
They came early in the morning. My students. Guns. Guns, you see. To my lecture. Cellular division. Do you know? They asked to address the hall. I said, of course. I offered them my lectern. Other members of the faculty had not been cooperative, they said. Other members of the faculty had resigned. But they wanted to assure the student body that Professor Santiago was on the list of the approved faculty. And they wanted the students to know that my classes would continue uninterrupted through a difficult period. That the understanding of science, hard science, was essential to our progress as a nation. He gave me a pen. I put it on my lapel.
Feo, no.
Even Galileo bowed his head. Of course, I don't mean to suggest that I am Galileo. He was a great man, but even Galileo, even he,
And the other faculty, what?
collected the things that and put them in boxes, went home. Others, the soldiers, in a truck. Pilar in a truck. The faculty in chains. Our director, great man he was. He's lost, Pilar, en el paredón.
What next?
They looked so scared. Then at the rally, I thought they would sing songs, and Sonia, she was there. She saw it all.
He hasn't come out from her room since she came back. She won't speak to me.
Sonia,
She watches us now. Do you know? She watches everything. Like she's taking notes. Yes, I might say this. I think she talks to Tito.
no.
I think she tells him things. Forgive me to even think, but she constantly talks about leaving us, about marrying or going to the province. When she talks about the future constantly, I'm losing her.
As it must be.
No, not this way. Not her mind. Her heart, yes. Her heart to a boy, to a man who loves her, yes. Someone that we know, his family, his background, his education, but not like this. Not stolen from us like this.
She has to go. She's expected to go. You understand that, Pilar? To the provinces. All the girls. All pages must go to teach.
Damn them to hell! The thieves who stole that wagon, turn it to filth!
She's expected to go to the provinces.
They won't allow it. No. There's another option.
They'll come for me. Don't you see that? If we show any weakness, any sign of doubt, they'll come for me. They're already watching me, reading my papers, reviewing my publications. Sonia, she has to go to teach. 3 months. 2 months.
No. You trade her flesh for your position?
To keep us safe. To see her married, to hold my grandchildren, to keep her here. Oh, yes. Pilar, I'll do whatever I have to. What God gave me, I'll trade for a chance to live peacefully and die an old man surrounded by my wife and my daughter, my grandchildren. We can live here quietly. Stay here. Live quietly. Listen, I'm not proud. Forgive me. I am not too proud
To keep her?
Yes. But what if they say 3 more months, and another 6 cutting cane, and another year in the provinces, and another? How long will we stay quiet, Orfeo, until the air is in ours to breathe and
No, not long. Not long. It won't be that long. That's what I tell you. There's going to be an invasion. Cool. No one is going to sit back and watch us go the way of Moscow. No one is going to do that.
You will. You will.
Not so.
We'll wait it out. We'll stay quiet. We'll cut cane, and you will stop your research, and I will trade kisses for luxury. I can do it. I deserve you. I can survive this. You can survive this. Of course we can. But not Sonia. Not her. It's our fault, Orfeo, because we loved her too well. What will happen when she starts to see, to ask why? What happens to those of us who can't stop asking?
What happens to those who do?
It takes years to learn to be quiet. But help.
You said there was another option.
Yes.
What?
Martha has been helping us this whole afternoon, my darling. I think we have a way to get Sonia out of this madness at last. It will last. I know. I believe it with all my heart. I do. I'm afraid. Okay, I've done something. I have done something that
What have you done?
What are you whispering about?
Oh.
Sonia.
Why is everyone always whispering in this house?
So you were sleeping.
I'm sorry I ran away from Rowdy, Papa. I know you will be upset about that, but I don't want you to lecture me.
I was worried about you.
Why? I'm not a China doll.
I know that.
We shot Professor Waldman.
I know.
Why?
I don't know.
He must have done something. He was teaching something. He was smuggling, sedition. He was doing something. What did he do?
You mustn't look at your father like that.
You knew him. He was your calling. What did he do?
I don't know. He talked. He told bad jokes. He made terrible coffee.
Papi, are they coming for you? I want to go to the country to cut cane.
No. No.
The schools are closed. There's nothing for me to do. The cane is rotting in the fields. And we all have to help in this difficult time.
No, there are ways to help besides cutting cane.
Oh, I'll go to the literacy campaign. Tito goes to the provinces next week.
Why go to the provinces? You can stay here and teach Martha.
I already talked to Tito about it, and he has signed me up.
Tito said this. How did Tito?
Yes. He is counting on me. It's only for the summer.
The summer.
Yes, the summer. What's wrong with you? Tito, the summer is happening all over the place.
Over my dead body. And your father's dead body and mine.
You sound just like the nun.
That is not why you're here.
What do you mean here? Do you mean on the planet?
You know what I mean.
What am I on this planet for, Mama? Can you tell me that? What have you done? I'm not going to end up like you, I know that much. I'm going to do something with my life. Things are changing everywhere. And I am part of it. And if I don't go this summer, I'll go next summer, or I'll just get out of the house soon and get married, and then I'll never see you again. What? What?
Oh, Mother of God. Get married and do what you want.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You always do that. Stop it. What?
You want to steal.
Hey, that's enough.
Fine, don't tell me anything.
Sorry. Sorry. But we were only trying to give you some good news. Let me your face.
Yes. Go on, tell it. Wonderful news, Sonia. Just listen.
Sonia, your father and I, we have found you a scholarship to attend a school in the United States, and they can take you right away.
I don't understand.
To study abroad.
Just for a year.
Anything you like. And then come back. You'll be 16 by then, old enough to make your own decisions, go to the country, or get married and ruin your own life. I'm sorry, and run your own life.
I can't go. I need a visa.
No. We have a visa.
How? The embassy is closed. How did you do that?
Student visa. For students. For study.
Papa?
So?
Were you sending me away?
Never.
But what about Tito? Can I go in the fall?
We have decided.
You haven't even talked to me. I won't go! You can't make me go.
Like Sonia and Sonia Blue, the character of Oscar in Eduardo Machado's Kissing Fidel has unresolved feelings about his past. Whereas Sonia was 15, Oscar was only 8 when he was still alone on Operation Desafran. The play takes place 33 years later in a Cuban funeral parlor in Miami. Oscar's grandmother has died, but he arrives with a shocking announcement that he's going back to Cuba to kiss and forgive Fidel. Chaos ensues, and hundreds of cups of Cuban coffee are consumed from jittery hands, continually dispensed in 2 large urns that are always center stage throughout the entire play. Playwright Eduardo Machado was born in 1953 and immigrated to the U.S. on Operation Pedro Pan in 1961. He was received immediately by relatives, so he did not go into an orphanage like most Peter Pan children. Eduardo was engaged to be with us tonight, but had to cancel due to a dental emergency at the last minute. He sends his regrets to you with this statement. I have written over 30 plays about Cuba. I've struggled to find enlightenment and peace in doing this. Cuba is too complex for just one play or one sentence. 50 years of politics, or really 150, takes a lifetime to express. Kissing Fidel I consider a minor play written out of not understanding why my father refused to love me and my brother and sisters. That is all it's about. It was a plea from me he would listen to us. He is now dead, And all I hear from him now is what I heard always, absolute silence. Enjoy the scene. With those Machado's words, as seen from the first act of Kissing Fidel.
I have to find something that saves me. I can't keep living in the past, man. I'm always this scared kid on an airplane, leaving it home, island, Kuhimar.
Don't cry anymore. Don't cry again.
Listen, cousin, we have an opportunity to bury the past and live here happily.
What would you know? You weren't even born here.
Oh, what?
You're a dentist, right? What would a dentist know about passion?
I am a doctor.
Right. Your father's the dentist.
Why are you being so mean?
Because I jump into emotion. I need a drink. No. How can there be nothing to sedate one at a funeral?
I can steal a Valium from my mother's purse.
Oh, you are a sweetheart. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go steal for me.
Okay. Maybe later.
Anything can happen.
You couldn't tell by looking at me, right? Could you?
No, you are mucho macho.
Oh. I practice a manly walk all the time. No one can tell, right?
Right. Absolutely, no one can tell me. Only me, because I'm so sensitive.
How about the subject?
I got a built-in radar.
Why did you get married?
Tradition.
I'm thinking of getting married myself.
Silly queen. Because I loved her. Not everything is black and white. If I were to write, please forgive my father 100 times where I paid my penance,
Well, hello, Oscar. Such a long time.
Hello, Tita. Are you all right?
Of course, it's not my mother that died. You should come in. They're doing a roastery now.
In a minute. Sorry,
Sit down.
No,
You're not having a seizure, are you?
no, I haven't had one of those since I was like 18, and the vampire came in and said, okay, do it! And it felt good.
The vampire?
Yes, the men with the canes were vampires. Don't you remember?
I thought there were zombies.
No, they were every fear known to man. I let him bite me, and they never came back. I'm sorry. I can't stop it. You know, I'm sorry. It must be my body's reaction to Miami.
Should I get a doctor? Your cousin, the doctor's inside.
No.
But
It's just anxiety and panic.
about Cuba?
Even at her mother's funeral, Miriam can gossip and fast.
Actually, your mother told me and I told her.
My mother is not here, is she?
No.
Oh, thank God.
I understand what you think you have to go.
You do?
To finish a story.
Partly, yes.
But go quietly, please.
Why?
We have to live in Miami.
I remember when you lived in New York, in Jackson Heights. I remember being stuck with you on the express in the middle of a snowstorm.
Blizzard.
My first.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
You remember me?
Of course, I love you.
You do.
In the blizzard, yes. We had fun.
I remember your friends there.
In New York?
Yes.
You liked them.
They were intelligent. They wrote, they painted, and went to the theater.
Why did you turn away from me?
Because you, of all people, should have understood.
Understood what?
You tell me.
You got jealous when I had my own children because you were used to being the favorite.
You could have saved me.
From what?
Loneliness, at least.
You're not lonely anymore.
How do you know?
Men don't allow themselves to get lonely.
Maybe I am not really a man.
Don't you ever say that.
maybe I'll always be a boy, being sent away from home.
It's been 30 years. It's time to get over that.
It's been 30 years. It's time to end the embargo.
Don't you dare start talking about that.
Where is my father? Frank.
You could have asked me for a volume, I would have given it to you. You don't have to sneak one.
Oh, you're so generous with your drugs.
No, they are legal. They're medicine.
He hasn't stopped shaking.
Guilt,
Never.
remorse.
I'll get you water.
You know, when he was a kid, he loved you, my son.
Why? I didn't even know him.
When you were in Time magazine, he put the photo up on his wall.
I heard.
What?
Very sweet, your son.
I'm very handsome and extremely manly.
Like his mama.
But
true.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that...
For better or for worse, we are your family.
So don't turn your grandmother's funeral, who you didn't speak for 20 years, into a...
She never called me.
She didn't know your number.
Hi, Miriam.
Call her Tia.
Tia, Miriam.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me. Didn't know my number.
All I'm saying is, keep the stuff to yourself tonight.
Where is my water? Here. Huh.
Now go inside.
Yes.
No.
Come on.
No, I have an embargo against that room. You know, we don't agree ideologically about life, so I want to enter the room till there are no differences between us.
The rosary is starting soon. You can kneel, pray, and don't talk.
No.
Do a rosary and you'll feel better.
No!
My mother's life was destroyed by communism. I won't let you ruin her funeral with the same bullshit.
Please, Oscar, pay your respects to your grandmother.
Who am I?
You were the most polite little boy I ever knew.
Then why did you let them send me away on Peter Pan?
You were not Peter Pan!
Yes, I was! There was a visa they sent me on.
But I was here waiting for you. You didn't go to an orphanage.
Oh, you were worse than an orphanage.
Bastards.
Stop it.
You told me my parents were never going to come here.
How could you, Miriam?
I was young.
You were mean.
I was only 21. I was confused.
But you took it out on the child.
Oh, leave me alone.
What else did she tell you?
Well, I locked him out of the house.
I see.
I was young, I was broke, I was alone. Don't judge me. You weren't here at the beginning, Yolanda, so don't judge me.
Poor Mama.
Yeah. It's all so sad.
Yes, it is.
That's exile.
Yes, it is.
That's what that bastard did to us.
What, Ed?
Yes.
Sometimes I think we did it to ourselves.
Never.
It wasn't all his fault, you know that.
It was.
Ed? His fault?
Absolutely. Fidel destroyed my family
How can you be sure?
because my life depends on it.
Not mine.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes.
Well, I'll see you inside.
I'm staying out here.
Why? Why?
He doesn't want me with him.
Who?
Your brother.
The rosary starts.
He who is without the sin cast the first stone.
What?
Everyone's a hypocrite. Everybody's a liar.
Including you?
And you.
The lucky book.
No, not me.
You wrote them.
Yes, I did.
I did some.
But they're not me. They're all of us.
How can you remember Cuba so clearly?
Because it's the only happiness I know.
Well,
Fiction.
there has to be a way to reality.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
And it's good that you're an architect. That you can define structure.
Sometimes.
You want to be stable.
Sometimes.
You want to be destroyed.
Yes. Like people in your novels.
When I lived in fiction and you learned to build shopping malls, we were both blind of our country. And it's hungry now. Hungry and dying, and the houses are falling down. And it doesn't matter anymore whose fault it is. And if I can make them see that, it's time to forgive. If I can convince the people in there praying, it will mean more to me than any novel I've ever read or written, or any woman or man I've ever wanted or gotten. I don't want us to be blind, Daniel. I want us, for once, to see clearly. Daniel, help me.
I hate you.
What?
I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Why do you like my novels?
Because of the sex.
Really?
Because of the incest.
That's just a subplot.
Not to me.
Oscar does not return to Cuba in the action of the play. Milo Cruz's Hortensia in the Museum of Dreams is the only play tonight in which grown Pedro Pan exiles return to the lost homes of their childhood. The action takes place entirely in Cuba. Estranged siblings Luz and Luciana return to the island for the first time since their Operation Peter Pan departure, arriving during the post-visit in 1998. In a casting note in the play script, Milo Cruz calls for actors much younger than the characters they portray, a visual metaphor for the lost years of these exiles. He writes, Luciana and Lusa should look younger than their actual age, as if their lost childhood has stopped them from aging. We begin with an excerpt that is the play's first scene, entitled Traveling, from Hortensia in the Museum of Dreams by Milo Cruz.
The music of an Afro-Cuban lullaby plays. In darkness we hear the sound of an airplane flying. A slide of a boy and a girl holding suitcases is projected on a wall. Spotlight on Luciana and Luca, each sitting on their own suitcase. They are in different spaces and don't relate to one another. Both hold travel journals and address the audience.
January 2nd, the airport.
January 2nd, the plane.
My mother gave me this travel journal.
She said, write everything down.
Write everything down, she said.
Because the island will never be the same.
My mother.
My mother.
What do I do with the journal? Do I write down that I don't know how to begin? Should I write down that I'm looking for my sister?
I am a traveler about to disembark on the land I left with my brother when I was 11.
Should I write that I have to find my sister? Should I write that it's been so long since I saw her last?
In case you find this journal, please get rid of it. Throw it into the sea.
Sound of a large wave drowning the scene. Airport sounds. Two men dressed in militia clothes enter the stage and approach Luca and Luciana in their separate spaces. The arrival.
Passport, senor.
Passport, senor.
Where are you coming from?
The U.S.?
The U.S.
Visiting relatives?
Nope, I am a journalist.
Visiting relatives, officer.
Documenting the visit of the Pope?
No.
That's correct.
Where are you staying?
Hotel Capri?
Staying with relatives, officer.
Proceed.
Proceed.
Sound of drums in the city.
January 2nd. Havana.
If I close my eyes, I can see it like before.
The seawall?
Oh, same old streets.
The same old blue?
Same cars.
Nothing like that blue.
Just like yesterday.
This is the place we went to school.
This is the place, the park we used to go to every afternoon.
Remember Mama's voice the day we left.
Never let go of your brother's hand. Hold on to your ticket. Over there, you'll be in different surroundings. Never forget me and your papa. And take care of your new shoes.
But I didn't come here to retrace the past. I came to see the new generation, the new islands.
A place called home. Lights come up on Tio Lalo. He holds an old cigar box full of photographs.
Here's some old photographs of you and your sister.
Lights up on a hotel receptionist.
Here's the key to your room. Senora, here are some papers for you to sign. And I will need your passport again.
My passport.
Part of the procedure, senora.
Here's a towel and some soap. It's better to bathe in the morning because the electricity is cut off after 6.
And here's your itinerary for tomorrow. Wake up at 8. Your tour guide is Ramon.
But I don't want a tour guide.
It's all been arranged for your convenience, senora.
Here's a bucket. If you love it, if you want to bathe in the evening, you'll have to heat up the water in the bucket. And if you want hot water, you have to take the bucket across the street and buy some chocolate. You love it, I'll go get you a pillow.
I was told about the organized tours for visitors.
I was told about the power outages.
I wasn't going to take part of this.
A bucket of water?
I never liked tours to begin with.
A bucket of charcoal?
Maps and the city.
I made a right on N Street. If I walk down L Street,
Well, if I walk straight through La Rampa Boulevard,
if I make a left on K Street, I can cut through the
I
park.
remember the streets.
The streets are remembering me.
Blue skies, faded awnings, orange tiles.
The world is not forgetful. A sidewalk never forgets to be a sidewalk. A tree never forgets to be a tree.
If I stop at the Poperia,
I stop at the university.
no, I don't need a map.
I'm sorry, senor, but the guest you're looking for is not in the room.
Can I leave her a note?
If you wish.
Dear my sister, love your brother Luca.
Brother.
Never let go of your brother's hand! When you go up the stairs to the airplane, look for my pocket that scarf in the ground and wave goodbye. So I know you're safe. So I know you're leaving. Never let go of your brother's hand!
Delita. After love. Luca and Delita. He's barefoot, wearing only t-shirt and pants. Delita remains standing towards the back.
Don't leave yet.
I have to go back to my uncle's house.
Too fast.
I'm not.
It's always like this when you do it in the afternoon. I get blue just the same. Maybe it's because there's too much light. Would you like me to make you some cafe? I always drink some after I make love. Before I stand on my head. I do it to thin the blood. The blood gets crazy. It starts palpitating on its own, forming little parts everywhere in the body. You know, you never told me how old you are. Let me guess. 28? 30?
No.
33?
sometimes I don't know how old I am.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I mean, my body has stopped recognizing my age.
God, don't tell me I've slept with a vampire.
No. The doctor told me that I suffer from an aging disorder. My sister, too.
Is it contagious? Will it make me be young for the rest of my life?
Maybe.
I like it when you smile. Why don't you stay longer?
I ought to go. My uncle,
You look like you need to talk.
what makes you think?
I know these things. I'd be dead if it wasn't for my mouth.
Do you think talking helps?
Come on, tell me. Why are you so gloomy?
I was trying to adjust. You know, everybody tried to prepare me for this trip. They told me about the power being cut off, the shortage of food, the buildings are falling apart. How can people live double lives?
Is that what it is?
Well, nobody can tell you how it affects you inside.
Don't leave yet. Stay a little while longer.
Sound of a large wave. The wave takes Luca and the Lita away. Strolling through Havana, Luca and Violado enter. They stand in front of an old church.
This section is called the Angel's Hill. And that church is where you and your sister got baptized.
Is that the same place where the parents would take us and sign off the children?
What children?
You know, all the kids that were sent to America, the Peter Pan kids, like me and my sister.
I don't know. I didn't take part in any of that. I was opposed to the whole thing from the beginning. But your mother was afraid for you and your sister with your father being in prison. See, everybody thought that there was going to be a war. There were rumors that the government planned to send children to work on Soviet farms, so she wanted to protect you. And when she found out there was a way to sending you, the two of you, to America through the Catholic Church, your mother was one of the first ones to put your names on the list. And let me tell you, no one could stop her. No one. It's curious how the church took you away, now it's brought you back.
You want to go inside?
I don't pray anymore. But if you want to.
I do.
The future of the museum.
January 15th, midday. A meeting with General Villamonte.
When I heard from my daughter Melva that we were going to get someone to help with the museum, I thought to myself, we need to have an important foreigner in our town.
She's not a foreigner, Villamonte. She was born here.
She is a foreigner to me. When did you leave the country?
1961.
Ah, the Pedro Pan flights, the 14,000 children that were shipped across waves.
Compañero Villamonte,
Don't interrupt me. I'm talking to Luciana. So, the Pedro Pan project, they call it. Like the children's book about the little boy who runs away to never land and never grows up. That's a young age to have a child fly alone on an airplane.
I wasn't alone, I was with my brother.
Even worse, 2 children.
I thought we were going to talk about the museum.
Now we are. It's very Christian of Hortensia to think that you could do something for this museum. It shows that we haven't managed to abolish the colonial mentality of having foreigners taking care of our problems.
I think you're mistaken. I took it upon myself.
No, I am not mistaken. when Hortensia came to me with the idea of this museum, it appealed to me. Anybody would want to finance a museum of dreams, but then
You funded the Museum of Humor that opened down the road. I'm sure it took them plenty of money to build it.
we need to laugh, Senora. We need to laugh at how we live despite all the difficulties imposed on us. It's what keeps us going. Our humor.
Our faith, compañero. Faith. Go to the river, go to the seawall in Havana, and you see how many oblations are offered to la Virgen Regla. There's a procession of miracles every year.
That's once a year, compañera. And it involves a few locals celebrating an old tradition.
Tradition. It has to do with people who pray, who have dreams.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with tourists coming from afar. Certainly not about exposing things which tend to be overdrawn, like those silly miracles that have been documented in books.
You know well. My miracles are simple acts.
All miracles have an element of exaggeration. In every religion, Buddha making 500 elephants grow out of a lotus flower, Mohammed cutting the museum into pieces.
For a man who doesn't believe in miracles, you know more about them than I do.
I read about things I dislike. So I can understand. So I can understand why I feel resistance, aversion. We live in an age of reason, natural science. We take pride in the real. Our system gave me a pair of shoes, a home, and a refrigerator. Compañera Hortensia wants to call these accomplishments miracles. And then they are the miracles that need to be exhibited in the museum.
Those are not miracles.
Then what are miracles?
It's a pity, compañero. But I don't think you will ever understand.
It has to do with faith, compañero.
Faith. Faith. Now what do you know about faith? You come from a so-called religious land with dollar bills that read, "In God we trust." What devil do they worship there? Can't be in the name of a God that your country has tried to blockade and starve a small island like ours for years.
I didn't come here to talk about politics.
But you certainly have opinions. How did you get involved in all of this religious hysteria? Your visa is strictly for journalistic purposes. Why aren't you in Havana following the Pope?
Well, I got a letter from Hortensia.
My letters, compañero. She responded to one of my letters.
You are lying.
The letters were sent abroad when we found out the Pope was coming.
What letters? All the letters you tried to send never left the country.
What do you mean?
We weren't going to have any commotions around here, compañera. Did you actually think that we were going to have commotions?
What are you talking about, compañero?
You live in a world of fantasy, with angels and spirits, and you don't face reality.
No. What happened to my letters? What happened to my letters?
Don't get emotional.
No, what happened to my letters?
Well, maybe one letter slipped by, but most of them never left our possession. We have a democratic process in this country. A meeting was held in the in town as to whether the museum should be made into a public building, and most people voted against it.
Lies. Lies. That's a bunch of lies.
She knows, well, that we're not interested in tourist attractions.
But the museum, it's,
Nobody wants museums in this town. Nobody wants tourists. You can see what is happening in Havana, huh? Prostitution, corruption. That's what we voted against.
It's a bunch of lies. You passed around a few papers. Who knows how many were signed? Who knows how many were kept away, like my letters?
You see? Hysteria. Hysteria. That's all. Religious hysteria.
All these years, you've tried to sink me down, to bury me alive. A few days from now, all the ceremonies of the Pope will end. Luciana will leave, and the two of us will have to live long after all this is over in this small town on this little island. But let me tell you something, compañero. For 30 years, I wanted to spit in your face. 30 years building up the courage, the froth, and this bitter spit in my mouth. But now that I face you, I believe my spit is too clean for your face. If ever I curse anybody in my lifetime, let it be you, Augusto Viamonte. May those cigars you smoke burn a hole in your tongue and in your lungs, and may those holes fester. Death, I do not wish you. I leave that to God. May you continue to breathe the same simple, beautiful air that I breathe in this town. Good day, compañero.
As well as Guillermo Linares, Commissioner of the New York City Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, for accepting this event into the first day of New York City Immigrant History. I would also like to thank Teatro Avante and their Feliz, who has invited Dos Salas Theater to be part of a special panel this summer at the International Hispanic Theater Festival in Miami to discuss Nilo Cruz's work. At this time, I would like to invite Nilo Cruz and Melinda Lopez, if they would be so generous in the spirit of the educational nature of the event, to answer any questions that the audience might have about Hortensia and Sonia Cruz, or any questions about Operation Pedro Pan in general, or share your reactions and impressions.
I'd also like to invite Carmen Peláez to please come up also for her work on Rum and Coke. So if the three playwrights would care to join us in the middle of the room. In general, just before we engage in this, I would just like to say that it is a rare treat for me to be able to be in a place where I'm honored. I don't know how much you're aware of this. Not only have these three incredible playwrights here, but we have Latino theater history on that side of the stage with some of the most incredible actors. I'm just in shock. So I would just like to formally thank, first of all, I'll go from the back. Gilberto Arriba, if you please stand. Greta Venezuela. Felipe Javier Gorostinka. And then, so I finally got to direct these three, so I died very happy. The incredible Frank Robles. The incomparable Miriam Cruz. And finally, my great honor, Elena Troyan. If there are any questions from the audience for our playwright, love to see your hand. And we have a mic coming around. There's somebody right in the center.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I think that these plays have caught the complexity of the issues so well. And I've become very involved in issues pertaining to Cuba and happened by accident to pick up a book in a bookstore called Waiting for Snow in Havana. And I'm wondering if you've read it by Carlos Iyer. It was a wonderful description, and everything that he talked about in Peter Pan was, of course, in all the plays. So thank you so much.
Are there any questions? Hands? I can dance, but it's not happy. Please, what's wrong?
Hi, I'd like to ask all of the playwrights if you've had any response from Havana or from Cuba in general on any of your accomplishments or any of your writing.
I have. When I was visiting my aunt, my great aunt Amelia was a painter. So when I went to visit her sister in Inita and I would stay in the house, there was always Cuban cultural people around. And I was very surprised on my second trip when they came and asked me about my play because I knew Inita hadn't told them anything. And they offered, actually, after a very good run in Miami, to bring the play to Havana. But they said that I'd have to incorporate a few edits. And then I said, well, fortunately, my grandparents had the foresight to put me in a country where I can say whatever I want. And this play really belongs to them. I don't need to edit it in the United States. I'm not going to edit it here. But they did invite me to go to Havana to do it. And I had absolutely no interest because of I didn't want them to own me. So that was my choice. Other playwrights do their work over there, it's great, but...
Who was that? Do you know what theater it was?
It wasn't a theater, it was through the government, and it was whenever I'd show up, people would show up all out of nowhere. So it was every time I came, it was always like a little swarm of people at different times. So I could tell you what he looks like, I could do a police sketch of him. Pero el nombre, I'm not going to remember exactly which part of the government he was from. Some cultural something of some ministry of culture and
My work hasn't been translated into Spanish, and it hasn't ever been performed. But I was doing a show in Miami, and when my mother saw it, and she said, "Pero cuando tu tía Consuelo viene, you have to cut that part out. So you talk about that part, so you don't have to go to Cuba." You can't say that when your family comes.
I actually expected more of that. When I did my play in Miami for the first time, there was definitely not as much open-mindedness, and understandably, I'm not going to take away their tragedy, but there wasn't as much willingness. When I went to Cuba, people in New York actually said that I was a little pink, whereas people in Miami understood it. And I was very surprised. I don't know why, though, because I grew up there, and I know the duality, and I'm sure you find it, too. Miami's much more moderate than people assume it is. But nobody ever told me. I mean, there were people that didn't come see my play because it had to do with me going to Cuba, which is their choice. I don't begrudge them that. But nobody ever told me, you shouldn't say that, or you should say, I was fortunate. I thought it was pretty commonplace, but...
Well, that was just about telling tales.
Yeah.
Family secrets.
That's always difficult, isn't it? When all of a sudden you're saying something and you're like, really? Am I going to say that?
One of my plays was read in Cuba, Lord and a Green Dress, which had nothing to do with Cuba, it had to do with Lorca's death, and of course during the Spanish Civil War. And at the beginning, the play was censored because the Ministry of Culture said that I had written against the government. And then at the end, they decided to do the reading. So that's my experience.
But we went to...
First of all, I congratulate all of you and with the fine work of the actors.
In thinking of the Peter Pans and sort of going through the list of the children that came and that grew up to be writers, musicians, very successful people, what, in your experience in knowing individuals who came in that period, what was it that you think that they grasped to come here at 12, in a foreign country, not knowing the language, in many cases not seeing their parents again, but yet being able to adapt in a miraculous way almost, and be so very successful? What do you think they were able to grasp to, hang on to, and that drove them and guided them?
When I met my cousin in Miami, she was in her early 50s, I guess, and this was the first time I had ever heard the Segal story. That was my first experience learning about it, and what she said was, she came at 10. She spent 4 years in an orphanage in Boulder. And the way I heard about it was my parents were already living in this country, and they drove from Massachusetts to Boulder to try and get her out. But the orphanage wouldn't release her because they weren't her parents, and she didn't, so that's how I came to hear the story. She said, "I'm not afraid of anything." She runs her own business. She's an incredibly conscious, one of these survivors. And so I was so captivated by that really balled out kind of approach to life. But because I'm interested in what happens inside people, I was very curious about what that costs a person. What's the cost of that? And I think that both things exist. That you can be fearless and still it costs you something, and so that's what I wanted to explore in my play, was an accomplished, successful, fully Americanized, fully integrated, ambitious, terrific woman who, the cost is catching up with her. So that's what I was interested in.
You want to go?
No, go.
No, I was just going to say, because they didn't think it was forever. So you do day-to-day what you do to survive. They didn't think it was forever. They thought it was temporary. Some still do. 50 years. I still think, and I know you're getting fooled. So I think you said something really, the last line of Rum and Coke is beauty survives, because there is a cost to survival. But what you earn when you survive is so much more than the price that you pay to survive it, like what you come out with it. And I think once you go through that, there's nothing you can't do. And it's almost like now in hindsight we can think and we can analyze and we can wonder. But in that moment it's, what do I have to do today? And I think that when you're forced to live in the moment like that, the years go by in a heartbeat and all of a sudden you've survived. But I also think el carácter cubano is fearless in a way, and is very, very adaptable, which is why I think the revolutions lasted so long. Because those people will improvise anything to survive.
I think there's a difference between an immigrant and an exile. An immigrant can always go back to their country, but an exile doesn't have that option. So these kids, even though at one point they thought they would unite with their parents, they realized later on that they were not able to go back to their countries. So they have, in my play, and I can only speak for my play and what based on the interviews that I did, and in my work I'm very interested in human behavior. In my play, it's a brother and a sister, of course, as what you saw, and they're really holding on to each other to the point that even at one point they cross boundaries. They not only want to be a brother and sister to each other, they almost want to be lovers. And even though they are successful, because he's a journalist, and and he's not as successful as she is, but he does work, and he's a merchant. The wound is still there, it's still open, and they're still trying to figure it out. And of course, when they go back to Cuba during the Pope's visit, it almost like that wound opens up again, and they sort of go back to the memory of leaving and the unfinished business.
May I ask a question?
Founder of Repertorio Español.
What, for instance, the distinction that some of the exiles do with the resentment to the parents, that is the most important element. And I found it extremely moving because hell is paved with the best intentions. And I will say that I've lived in this country much longer than I lived in Cuba. And I've been here for, 50-something years. And when we were invited, the company, Repertorio, to play in Havana, Matanzas, and Santa Clara by the UNIAC, the Union of the Authors and Artists in Cuba, I was terrified. Fortunately, I was directing a play in NYU, so I didn't have to go. But the company went, and they were very successful. Of course, the same people appeared in every stage, as you said. And the big hit of the company, we took Eduardo Machado's play, Broken Eggs, which I felt had to be done in Cuba, because there's a family in California. And there's one line, there was one scene in which the sister-in-law and the mother are talking, and they're society people, and they're middle-aged, and one says, while they're smoking a cigarette, do you remember when we thought Fidel was sexy? and the whole theater went into the biggest laugh of the whole tour, as I was told. So, I don't agree with the embargo. I don't agree with the separation. I'm not from the government of Cuba. I'm not pink. I'm not even yellow. But this has been a very great experience for me to see what you're doing. And I know Nilo, and we've done 2 of his plays. And I think he's brilliant. And I want 4 plays.
That's right.
Well, we tried to cast a wide net in this, as you can imagine, but I wanted to ask briefly, are there any Pedro Paneros here today in the house? If you would please stand, we'd love to. We have time for one more question, if possible. 1 or 2. We have 2 right here, so we have 1 in there.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and probably you could even answer this. Of the 14,000 kids that were brought here, they all obviously eventually got out of interim camps. To me, it's almost kind of akin to almost like a prison type of a camp. And it's just amazing the spirit that survived with those children. Because I think I could kind of relate a little bit to what maybe kids going through the Holocaust and being separated from their parents might have felt, or the parents pushing them away to save them. Is the same type of thing that happened with the Cubans trying to save their children. And it's just amazing what the spirit to survive.
Well, I think that the American authorities, and I'm not an expert, but they were unprepared for the numbers that started arriving. I mean, they thought this would be 50 kids, 100 kids, and suddenly there were more and more, and thousands, and they were, panicking, calling, and finding this old military base, and then suddenly the desperation of, it's full, we need more housing, and so then going to Nebraska and Kansas and Colorado and Oklahoma and Maine and finding any orphanage, any house of worship, any place that would take foster children. I mean, it so quickly escalated beyond what any of the American, I don't mean authorities, but any of the people who were sort of starting this ball rolling, they just couldn't.
Was it well publicized? Because I was in college, just starting college at the time, and I don't recall a lot of publicity about it. You weren't Cuban. But you would have thought that, we all knew. We all knew.
My niece and nephew came out in 61, not in Peter Pan, but by my acting. And now they're emeritus, a doctor, and
I think also now we take for granted how quickly we find everything out. I mean, when Fidel actually resigned, we knew before the Cuban people did, because we had the access to the AP before they did. But like when my mom, she went to New Orleans with her sister, and then somebody came to pick up her sister. I don't know why Mami and Cristina got separated, but Mami got sent to, of course now I'm blanking. I said I was horrible with names, but it was Uniac. Once he said, I'm like, yes, he was from Uniac. But anyways, my mother went to this house, and when they took her to church, God, the name's right here. Mississippi, I think. I know, how can I forget?
Nobody does that.
When they took her to church, they brought her to church the first day, and they stood her in front of everybody, and they said, this is our Cuban. And people in school asked her if she wore shoes and if her family lived in trees. So we're taking for granted now that we have again, we have perspective, we have history, we have information. We're taking for granted, like, how could we not have known? I mean, now, a lot of the atrocities that have happened in Cuba over the past 50 years are starting to come out thanks to these new information channels, and people are kind of shrugging their shoulders and saying, we didn't know, but like Renee said, Cubans knew. We tried to tell y'all, and you didn't listen.
This is the only international country that is very proud to be ignorant.
I know we have one more question, but I'd just like to introduce Commissioner Guillermo Linares is here with us today.
Just a word of thanks for the wonderful presentation that you've made, kicking off Immigrant Heritage Week, which has now gone for 5 years, and this year has grown from 50 or so events last year to 130 events. And it is wonderful to have an opportunity to highlight what immigration has meant historically for this country, what it means. 5 years, and this year has grown from 50 or so events last year to 130 events. And it is wonderful to have an opportunity to highlight what immigration has meant historically for this country, what it means today, particularly, and how it is tied to the future of the greatness of this country. And I think what is most powerful is that we're able to share the multiple dimension of what it means for you to disconnect from your home country, whether you come from the Caribbean, former Soviet Union, any country, Africa, any corner of the world. We need to also celebrate that which has made this country, but also share it and appreciate it and take it in. And I think we need to do that with people who have many generations of parents that arrive here and may see things somewhat different, but it is the powerful message that your story brings that I think needs to continue to be shared, because it is an unfolding story as we speak and as we are here sharing. So I want to commend you and say thank you on behalf of the mayor and on behalf of all New Yorkers, but especially on behalf of immigrant New Yorkers, because I think we've learned tremendously from what you have to share. And I personally have appreciation because I met someone, one of the children of Peter Pan, who's a great friend, Dr. Arminio Martinez. I will mention him because I've learned a lot from him and what the story was like for him. And I'm sure that for every child that left Cuba under those circumstances, there is a story to be told. And it is an unfolding story still. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your being part of Immigrant Heritage.
Can I just ask?
Yes.
I was just wondering whether any of these plays have been performed to the younger generation of Cubans. And by that I mean, I think at this point we're probably dealing almost with the third generation. And do they have any kind of visceral connection to Cuba? And if they do, what form does it take, and how do they think about that? I know we're a country of immigrants, but I'm just wondering, Cuba being so much a part of the current political scene still, whether they get involved with it politically or culturally, and I'm just really curious.
I mean, they very much do. I've been invited on Wednesday to go to speak to Cuban American students at NYU. At Wellesley, I've gone. There's an incredible student group called Raíces Esperanza that actually reinvigorated my hope and my passion that there can actually be a solution. And I think you have this incredible generation that was raised here and that was raised with democracy from day one and was raised with process from day one. And they've seen what their grandparents and their parents have lived, and their passion is actually very inspiring to me. And the way, at least, that they've reacted to my work has been, it just keeps me going. But the kids, I find, are very well informed and really how to use the internet, how to organize. It's in their blood, it's in their upbringing, and I find them incredibly inspiring. I don't know if you guys have.
Well, I wanted to thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to Frank Henshaw. I just wanted to make one note because I know they're going to get rushed. So if the cast and playwrights could just stay behind 1 second so we can take a picture with the commissioner before we break. And please.
Okay. First of all, there will be a reception here in the room in the honor of all the playwrights in the Immigrant History Week. So I hope you will